within you, ever to define. The world may change or disappear, but truth can never die. Come, you're a man, no cast in stone. Stand up and call your soul your own. Go on alone, go on alone. Banish weakness, go on alone. Go on alone, go on alone. Don't look back, just go on alone.
Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to Sunday service. My name is Anandi. This is my husband, Bharat. We especially like to welcome all of you who are guests and visitors here, including those who are visiting us over the internet. So we'll begin this morning with a reading from Rays of the One Light. These are weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita, written by Swami Kriyananda. This week's reading is called Self-Reliance versus Self-Reliance. In other words, small self-reliance and great self-reliance. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. Last week, we considered the need for attunement with God, with the gurus, with the wisdom of others, until we make that wisdom our own. There is a strong and in fact valid belief nowadays in the need for standing on one's own feet rather than depending weakly on others to carry us by their strength. Swami Kriyananda was once asked, "What is the best yoga posture?" "That one," he replied, "which sets you squarely on your own 2 feet." Our strength must come from within. If that strength comes from the ego, however, instead of from soul consciousness, it is like a guitar string without its sounding board. The notes it emits will be thin and feeble. Our strength must come from within, but must be coupled with the recognition of our inner link with broader and higher realities. The Bhagavad Gita says in the 10th chapter, "Everyone in this world whose life is glorious or prosperous or powerful, know that his achievement is but a little spark from the great sun of my effulgence." Jesus, in talking to his disciples, emphasized also the power of attunement with his own consciousness as a ray of the divine. For this ray had descended already through him. In response to their devotion, it was a sign that God was already listening to them with receptive attention and did not require to be wooed in that way any longer. In the passage preceding the one that we read last week, Jesus said, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me." This was the meaning of Paramahansa Yogananda's counsel also, when speaking more intimately to the disciples of the need for attunement with him. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om.
Good morning. I'd like to begin by reading from Whispers from Eternity, poems by Paramahansa Yogananda. O all-pervading Spirit, the breeze of thy inspiration has removed every cloud from my heart. The firmament of my mind is now clear. Purified I behold only thee everywhere. The sunshine of thy joy spreads rapidly to the farthest shores of my being. After long ages of hunger, I feed on thy light. By thy grace and by my constant wakefulness in thee, may this joy be mine forever, forever, forever. Swami has talked about that the first prerequisite for soul liberation is personal integrity, and that's to not listen to the voices all around you, and to go inside. There's a amusing but very poignant example from the life of John Muir. He was living in Wisconsin with his family and going on long botanical rambles, and his family was afraid that he was going to be a no account and an embarrassment. And so they were giving him all kinds of advice, all his relatives and siblings. And one brother finally got so fed up with John, and he said, confound those weeds, John, marry and go into business. But John Muir, most of us know who he was, but he was the father of the national parks, and more place names are named after John Muir in California than any other person. But more important than that outward recognition, was that he just felt his soul soaring in the Sierras. Sometimes he would lose consciousness of his body, and he felt as light as thistledown floating through the canyons, and just would lose body consciousness. And but first we have to just stop and go beyond other people's opinions, and then go beyond our own opinion, and then to really tune in very deeply to God. We really have two choices. We can act through our own limited, small power, or we could act with God's infinite power. Swami was talking about human consciousness is really just an ant when you compare it to divine consciousness. And I went on the internet yesterday, and I wanted to know what is the latest in terms of how many billions of galaxies are there in the heavens. And 300 that we can see, 300 billion. And the Milky Way has 200 to 400 billion stars in it. And if you just think of the vastness of the heavens and just the power that it took to create all material manifestation and to sustain it, that's a pretty awesome power. And then you look at our limited minds, and there's just a great contrast. In the causal world, it's said that souls can create universes, and Christ said that ye are gods. And not that God withholds that power until people can handle that wisely. And Master talked about that, people would run amok in the universe if they could just willy-nilly create universes. But that's the potential of the soul. Our consciousness is infinite. Master was talking about you could take a cubic foot of air, and you can compress it down to 1/500th of a cubic foot, and then that same air, if you let it expand, it could fill a whole million cubic feet of air. And he said that air is like our consciousness. The cosmic consciousness is confined within our consciousness, and it's only through breaking out of body consciousness and identification with the body that the air of our soul can really expand and become larger. And so what we need to do is to really dynamically call on that power. Otherwise, we're really working in such a limited way. There's a humorous story of a beaver and a rabbit, and they were sitting below the Grand Canyon Dam and enjoying the view, and the rabbit turned to the beaver and he said, "Is that your work?" And the beaver was kind of humble, and he said, "No, but it was based on an idea of mine." And whatever way it can, the ego tries to claim credit, tries to claim things for itself. And it's really pitiful when you think of it. It's like a beggar always trying to grasp and saying, this is mine. The masters, why do they talk about overcoming attachments? It says that we have to go beyond being attached to a tiny corner of creation, and that prevents us from freeing our soul to really experience omnipresent consciousness. And it's just like Swamiji was talking about, this sense of touch. What we're trying to do is learn through that sense to touch the whole universe. And that's really the choice that we have. And we can experience life in a pedestrian way. Swami was talking about that whenever we're doing things by our own strength, we feel tension and we feel anxiety. But when we feel the grace of God, and all of us have had that experience, there's just this beautiful calmness and serenity, isn't there? Swami, he said that he doesn't do anything that would cause him to lose his inner peace. And you think of all the things that he's accomplished. But Swami doesn't think he's doing it, and that's his secret, is that it's God doing it through him. And he just follows that very, very closely, always. It's what does Master want? He doesn't any longer feel any separation between him and Master. I mean, it's Master through him, and because he is an individual soul, but he's just immersed in that consciousness. There's one of the siddhis of tuning into the Om vibration is the power to get things done in this world. And you think of all the things that Swami has done, because he's just living in that consciousness, that power. God, the vibration is the voice of God, and Master said that God is speaking to us through the trees, the clouds, the waves in the ocean. And first he sends out a thought, and that thought has energy, and that has vibration. And if we really want to really bring God into this world, it's tuning into His Spirit. And Swami says that all our actions will have a universal quality, and that will just resonate with the rest of creation, because that is the rest of creation. And it's, just to really work with that presence, the holy presence of God. There's a mantra that's going on that is frequently said today, and that's that we've got to change the world. We've got to change the world. And it's a wonderful mantra, and that has a beautiful intention. But it doesn't go far enough. Swami used an example in a letter to his fellow monastics when he was down in Los Angeles. He said that it's like, whose world is this anyway? He said it's God's show. And we feel things are just so important in the way that we act. It's like having a locomotive and pushing the locomotive. And that locomotive is moving under its own power, but we're thinking we're moving that locomotive. And then if that locomotive stopped, we couldn't even push it an inch, could we? But where our benefit comes from pushing that locomotive is that we get in sync and rhythm with that locomotive, and hopefully we've taken a train that is going towards spirit, and that will take us there. And so it's what we're trying more and more to do is to really unite ourselves as much as we can with God and in our daily consciousness and in meditation, and really try to act from that power. Swami talked about years ago, there was a mother and daughter living at Ananda, and the mother was a very, very good person, a lot of integrity and joyful. And but Swami said the daughter was something very extraordinary. And one day he was over at their house visiting them both, and then he said to the daughter, you always try to feel that you're radiating God to others, don't you? And she smiled and said, yes, only you know my secret. And she just consciously just projected that love, that presence of God out. And Swami said that, that's what we want to do. He's even used this visualization in the Hope and Happiness in Material Success course. There's gone through so many name changes, I can't keep up. But I think you all know the course. And just about having a ray of light coming in through the medulla oblongata and just feeling our body. And then as we act, feel that ray of light going out through our spiritual eye, out into the world, and trying to be more conscious. There's different people in the community, thinking of Devi as one of them, who just every moment of her life, she's just consciously radiating out God's love and her joy. And it's just so inspiring to see when someone does that. And to more and more really to try to feel that that's what we're sharing, that's what we're living in. I didn't finish my story of the mantra going around that we are trying to change the world, but that often if we're trying to change the world, we're working more from human consciousness. And the problem with human consciousness is it's still in material consciousness, and it's in the realm often of likes and dislikes. And it's just like moving pieces around, and you don't come up with anything new. Buckminster Fuller was, how do you say that?
Buckminster Fuller.
I can't tell you how many times Ananda has saved me. But Mr. Fuller, anyway, he said that you can't change things by changing things how they are. You have to bring a whole new paradigm into it to change the energy. And just because I go around and speak in the environmental field a lot, and because people are very committed and wanting to make the world a better place. Stepping back, I realize that what we're trying to do at Ananda isn't change the world. We're trying to become the world, aren't we? And to really unify our consciousness with God. In the song Where God Dwells, Swami's written, sweet herbs. I'm on a roll, I might as well keep going.
Where he dwells, the earth in gladness puts forth sweet herbs, shading trees.
Okay. And but in higher ages, Babaji said that people prefer the shelter of trees because nature's benign and all life has that consciousness. And it's only bringing in God into the world that will have that consciousness. I mean, you look at the Crystal Hermitage Gardens where Swami Kriyananda lives. You look at the land all around the village. You look at the Palo Alto community, the Ananda community there. There's just a radiance, and it's because we've been, as much as we've been able to live in that consciousness, and that's what really changes our world, because you've changed consciousness, and consciousness changes the energy, and energy changes matter. There's the Master used an example of somebody who's sunbathing, and if they're just out in the sun, and if they aren't very conscious of what they're doing, they're just out there, they receive a little bit of solar benefit. But if they consciously draw the solar rays from the sun, they can receive a benefit 100 times greater. And so the potential of God is always there, and we just have to pay attention and to draw in that presence. But we might think in our lives, well, gee, God is far away, or we look at the restlessness maybe that we experience, and we think, well, gee, I know I should experience something more than I am, or maybe we're disappointed with our present reality, and maybe we can get discouraged because it can seem so far. Our teachings are so exalted, but Swami used a beautiful image that can be a great source of hope and encouragement for us all. He said that, we could look at the lives of the saints and see their great fervor and love for God, and we experience that sometimes. And sometimes that we're really into the flow of that, and that's all we want. But then other times that maybe it's not as strong in our lives. But Swami said that if we keep reaching up for God and holding ourselves up to Him, He will reach down to us, and He'll give us the power to love Him more completely. And He will then lift us up. Just think of an image of a young child, maybe 1 year old, and it sees an adult, and it reaches up with just full expectation and trust that you'll pick it up. And just the child is just irresistible, and you just are going to pick that child up. It knows you're going to pick that child up. And this is the way that we should approach God, is that we're projections of the spiritual eye. We're born of spirit. That's our reality, and God made us so that we could experience His joy. That was His only purpose. I was thinking a few months ago, what is sin? It's just a lost opportunity to not feel God's joy. And so just to feel that He is our Father. Uma, one of our ministers in Assisi, was saying that in Christendom, the word for father that was used was Papa, just very dear and intimate. God is our very, very own, and what He has, He wants to share, and He's given it into our soul. And so let's more and more try to have that trust, even more than what we have today. Master was very, very strong on not letting us get into negativity, and even the thought that, well, gee, I'm not good enough right now to feel God because of what I'm thinking or the space that I'm in. Just get rid of it and try to be more and more like that little child with full expectation as we reach up to Divine Mother, to our Heavenly Father. And in that complete trust, God will pick us up. God is the ocean. We've been the waves of the ocean. Let's merge back into the infinite, vast ocean.
long as you seek your home in our land, where all are strangers, love knocks her door. Leave to the weak his craven life, to the coward leave his dreaming. Oh, my saint, wake up, reclaim the light, seek the truth.